got Civilization without a Z. 2, by Kero Kero Bonito. 3 songs, 14 minutes long. Just a short little tiny EP.
So as a quick refresh, the Kero Kero Bonito bonus episode, about an hour long that we did recently. Very, very good. Check it out. But Kero Kero Bonito have done a lot of albums. They started in the mid-2010s with... they've done a lot of projects.
Yes.
They started in the mid-2010s with sort of like early hyper-pop, sort of like insane, like randomness of electronic and alternative. I'd say kind of similar to Gorillaz in its zaniness, but definitely like its own different thing. Then they started releasing a bunch of EPs in the mid-2000s that took their sound to like an entirely different level. They started doing all this sort of different world building that was still using the same sort of ways they would start to build and describe songs earlier, but like talk about more dark and whimsical subject matter and things like that and take it on. And the music is just sort of developed into this like kind of random crazy thing to begin with. Also beginning with like the Civilization series. There was a Civilization 1, which is a previous drop that came out a little bit, like a couple of years ago. But this is sort of meant to be a continuation of that. And each of the 3 songs are very different, for sure.
Yes.
Princess and the Clock, which we talked about earlier in the year, is sort of like the more hyper poppy, like...
It almost has a lot of like Asian influences and stuff in the sound. It almost sounds like... Also, it reminds me a bit of MGMT, She Works Out Too Much, or just like hectic craziness and everything on it, while trying to be almost like a popish song in that regard, but being on the nose with some stuff. Kind of, it reminded me a bit of that. But it's good. I do like the Princess and the Clock. It took me a couple listens to get into it because there's just a lot of random shit in there.
Sounds the most like Civilization 1 because the rest of the songs on here are just kind of their own thing.
Yeah,
for sure. The second one, it's basically April 21st, 2020. Yeah. It's a song written about that time. And I saw an interview that Kero Kero Bonito did about that song specifically because like the EP is basically centered around that. And they're basically saying, we've done all these albums about world building, about these like post-apocalyptic worlds where you're sort of paying attention to the little pieces of nature or the world moving around because that emptiness and that silence is all that's there. And then COVID happened, there's all these lockdowns, and it's like, this is the world we've been describing all the time. And so like we got to just sort of do a very sort of almost Tom's Diner narrative song of like what is happening around them. And it kind of just fit in oddly to just things Kero Kero Bonito have been making and describing. They've been just making songs that are just like the John Humphreys in the episode described as film noir. You're just kind of describing what's happening in front of you, and that's kind of the film. They've been making songs about that, but like about zany things beforehand, but now it's just like about the real world as it's happening. So that was like really cool. Yeah. And then the third song is just like this really awesome like throwdown house thing. Yep. That's really cool, well rested. It's both wraps up Civilization 2 really nicely, and
I really like Well Rested because it's a longer track at 7:10, and it like morphs into so many different sounds and different styles, but it's all my favorite stuff within experimental electronic music, so I liked it a lot. It reminded me a lot of like really random like early 2000s-ish house music and stuff, where you can kind of hear like this almost like a scratching record sound, but making that into a keyboard effect and everything. And there's a lot of different stuff in there that I enjoy a lot. Reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah, it's really good. I like the lyrics in it too, kind of like being well rested before you ascend. It's kind of just rad. And it sets up for a lot of what I think KKB is going to be doing. I think they have a full-on project album coming out maybe within a year or so.
Oh, I like that.
That's going to be another like wildly different jump. If you haven't listened to the episode already, you should like listen to the point where they do the album Toe Tap, which is like such a wild jump from what they usually did. It was pretty cool. It seems like they're going to do that again in their next thing. But it's a nice little drop off before that point. Overall, like a really good little EP. Like I said, 14 minutes, like a drop kind of thing, perfect drop territory thing that especially listening or doing that KKB bonus episode, I have more of an appreciation for like what they can do, even in 3 songs. It's really kind of amazing the depth you have there.
It's fun.
Yeah. Arbitrary scale this week, because we do arbitrary scales because scales for rating album reviews are kind of pointless, and I think anyone who likes KKB will be fine with us like using shed pieces to describe the album. So drop some shed knowledge. What's like a good KKB?
This is your This is your flooring for a shed. So like, oh, this is like you've got options though for your flooring too. You don't get it's not just like a blank rubber, like a rubber black floor or whatever. No, you've got like, you can do wood, you can do laminate, you can do tile flooring if you're feeling. You can do vinyl, exactly. You've got lots of options for your flooring. It's not just normal flooring. It's just all of the things that are available at your disposal at Home Depot. Nonetheless.
Yeah, it's like the fluorescent like style rave flooring that changes color.
I'm not gonna put that I'm not gonna put RGB flooring into my goddamn shed.
Wait, you don't want a Twitch stream from the ground?
Just like shoo, shoo, shoo.
And some like eyes wide shut shit.